people believe inaccurately. They don't really think whether this person is a good witness. What's he a witness to his own feelings, let's say, to his own sentiments. I say I love you. What you don't know, you can see the outside, just like we can see the outside of that house, but we can't see the inside of the scene when the murder took place. You can see the outside of my body, but you can't see the inside of my heart. So you have to test the witness. You have to cross-examine the witness. Now, you don't put somebody you love on the witness stand, right? But that's why, well, let's get down to brass tacks. That's why, the first time somebody says, I love you, you don't usually run down to the justice of the peace and get married right then and there, right? You have to test whether or not this is really true, whether you can believe this person. Now, there's one thing to say, I love you today. It's another thing to say, I love you today, I'm going to love you tomorrow, I'm going to love you next week, I'm going to love you next year, I'm going to love you for the rest of my life, I want to marry you. There's a question of belief really basic. Do I believe that this person that I love and that says that loves me, do I believe that this person will be with me? I can love somebody to the ends of the earth. But it may be that this person, I don't believe this person will stay with me. Do you follow me? There's two aspects of this here. And so whether or not I believe something is really, really important in our social life and in our personal life. And so we come to now, by the way, anytime you have questions while I'm talking, please raise your hand. Please raise the questions, because I may be wandering way off into the stratosphere. And if I am, I want you to pull me back in, okay? So feel free to raise any questions about this. Well, we're coming down to, we talk about just that idea, the example of the murder and believing in the witnesses or disbelieving in the witnesses, and then the question of love, believing whether someone loves me or be with me. Well, we're coming now back to the creed of the Christian church, the Catholic Church. We believe in one God. I believe in one God. Actually, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? We say in English, we believe, and in Spanish we say, I believe, and there's the whole thing. Is for you to decide, and you need to decide it repeatedly throughout your life. The decision of faith is one that we take over and over again. It's whether you believe what we believe. You see? What's happening in our question of faith here? We're talking about not the question of a murder, in our social life, or about the relationship of love in our personal life. We're talking about the question of God and our relation to God. And fundamentally, what the Christian faith says is that in the first 30-some years of 2,000 years ago, something happened that changed everything. Something happened in Israel, in Palestine. And you and I weren't there. We're not there physically because we're here in Medford right now, and we're not there. So we can't. And we weren't there. And what else was I going to say about that? We weren't there. We don't know. Just like we weren't there when the murder occurred, right? We're here and not there. So the only way we can know about that is if someone tells us about it. And what the Christian faith says is not only that something happened, but more accurately that someone happened. Someone happened. And it was almost like, in effect, it's like some kind of an explosion took place in 33 AD in Jerusalem. And what happened then continues to happen right now. What happened to those people there happens to you and me. Or not so much what happened, but who happened. Namely, Jesus of Nazareth, who was born, suffered and died and rose from the dead and lives with us and calls us to life with Him. Very, very simply, that's if someone asks you what it is to be a Christian, what do you believe as a Christian? You could say, I believe that Jesus happened. I believe that Jesus happened to me. I believe that Jesus happened to us. That's a way of saying what the creed is all about, in a real shorthand. Huh? And so when we talk about the creed, now I want to go kind of through it a little bit, but not every line by line, just to kind of give a sense of it, is that we start by saying we believe in one God. Actually, I want to say something else here before that, because of the importance of, when we get to this question of we believe in one God, we have people that are not believers, right? I don't know if you know people that are atheists, people that not only they believe there is no God. Okay? They don't think anything special happened back in AD 33. But you know what? They use a curious word. They'll say things a little bit differently. They'll say that we believe, we Christians, we believe, we're the believers, and they'll say, the atheist will say, they may say it in all good faith, we know. We know. Because we use science, and we rely on the results of science, and those results are certain, and we know what goes on. But without saying more about that right now, I want to suggest to you, on the basis of this example of the murder across the street, everyone, atheist, agnostic, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, must believe. Because nobody knows about the beginning and the end. Which modern scientific atheist was there at the very first moment of creation to see with his own eyes how the world came to be and how he came to be? Which of the scientific atheists has been to the future to see what is the end, or what happens after death, to know with his own eyes and ears what happens after death? Nobody. Not a single one. They believe that the world began just out of an explosion of matter, and they believe that at the last breath you take, you're dead and gone, and that's it. But they don't know any more than you and I do. You see? They all have to believe. And so it gets back, and the reason I say this is I hope that it gives me, personally, a great deal of confidence. Confidence in my belief. Because they, just like the murder across the street, what we all have to do is pay attention to the witnesses that tell us about the beginning and the end, about who we are. And this is what Christianity is not afraid to do at all. What is put before us is precisely the testimony of those who lived with Jesus Christ, who knew Him and heard Him and shared life with Him. And they tell us what He said and what He did and what happened. And they invite us to believe as they do. They don't force us to. They can't force us to. That's what Jesus Himself says. Believe in the gospel, huh? Believe in the gospel. And then we have to look at the witnesses. And we do. And just briefly, let's look at one of them, St. Peter. St. Peter was with Jesus pretty much from the beginning of his public life, wasn't he? He was a fisherman. We know a lot about St. Peter in the Gospels. He's portrayed as a pretty brusque and confident man. But then at the crucial moment of danger, when Jesus is going to die, what happens to St. Peter? Off he goes. And he denies even knowing Christ. He denies knowing Him. So the church holds up as a witness to Jesus Christ this weak man, Peter, who denied Christ at the hour of his trial. But after that, what happens to Peter? The Holy Spirit comes down on the church and on Peter at Pentecost, the Spirit who will be given to you at the sacrament of confirmation when you experience Pentecost directly. That's the way of saying what confirmation is. And Peter is a changed man.